Just on a sideline note, when we talk about emotional intelligence, because this might easily fall into understanding your own emotional intelligence, one of the things they say that's very important in emotional intelligence is self-awareness. To be aware of doing something in the moment, even to go further and say, listen, I don't want to do it like this, I want to do it like this, even while you're busy doing it. I don't know if you've experienced for yourself sometimes when you do presentations. I think often when you talk to audiences, I often think, to get this right, to talk to an audience in an effective way, you need to consistently think on two levels. The one level is sort of sharing the content, because you've got some kind of content when you do training, for instance. Mm-hmm. The other one is to be aware of how do you share that content. What I've often found, people that do a presentation well and that sort of, yes, we can sit for hours and listen to as they speak, they've got this ability to, while they're saying what they're saying, to be aware of how they do it.
In what I do a lot of presentations in my job.
Yes.
Large crowds, small crowds, so I try to focus on not what it says. It might be a score, for instance.
Yes.
But trying to focus on what it means, telling a story. Mm-hmm. Getting away from having lots of words, but having a picture, for instance. But then, because then you make it practical for people, and you place it into context for them.
Yes.
In their world. So trying to find what you want to say, how would it fit into their world? Mm-hmm. How would they understand it?
It sounds to me like you're explaining, translating intellectual knowledge into experiential reality for people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just giving them something to work with.
Okay.
Giving them something to think about. Or putting it into context is very important.
Mm. I see one of our audience wants to participate. Yeah, I'm going to allow her. Yes, Cara.
Do you get frustrated sometimes that people don't understand what you are trying to say because you're an intellectual, or you understand things on a high level? Now you have to communicate it to people who might not get what you want to say.
I have a way of simplifying things. I like doing that. So using simple examples, and I did it this week with one of mine. I have a large team of people. It's about 6 people that I need. They work in my team, and they're all younger than me. So a lot of what I do is teaching them about life as well, not just about how we do things in terms of work. But then using really simple examples to get that across, that helps. But it does happen that people don't get you. But using a simplified way of explaining it, I find that people.
But does it not frustrate you to simplify things because your personality?
No, simplifying comes very easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that is something that works.
Mm-hmm.
People don't necessarily follow your advice.
Yes.
And that is frustrating. Because you can see them hurting themselves. And that is frustrating. But at some stage, luckily, you see that the penny drops and it works.
Okay.
And they start changing what they do.
Yes. Just want to make a sideline note, remark on her question. She asked a very, very good, fundamental, reflective question that forced him to think about his own way of doing, his own way of thinking. It was a very good question to ask. And he explained himself. He's got ability to explain himself, so it starts to give me the picture that I think he's a wordsmith. That label is sort of, it's going to come here in. He's a wordsmith. He likes teaching. I can see his facial expression is not of such a sort that he dislikes what he does. I think he loves what he does. I'm just thinking out loud now what's going on in my head. It's good for us to learn that too. Would you sort of, you feel yourself, especially in the beginning of developing relationships, that you're not that much of an extrovert, that much of a person that engages, but eventually you do get, and when you do engage, I assume it's fully, you enjoy it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I find energy in people that I love and I want to be around. Struggle to work on my own, for instance.
Okay.
I would I would put on headphones and work, but just knowing that people are there.
Mm.
And I can talk to somebody if I want to, or just that gives me a lot of energy.
Mm.
At the start of a relationship, I would usually look for one thing that we connect on, and it would flow from there.
Mm.
Common interest or common little thing that we like in terms of music, for instance, or whatever.
Yes.
And then it might start off slowly, but when there's always a tipping point. After that tipping point, I would invest in terms of energy and emotion totally in those people.
Okay.
I would let them in. I wouldn't let a lot of people in, but if I let somebody in, they will be in.
Yes. Okay.
100%.
That's nice. Is it a big circle, small circle of those that are in?
No, small circle.
I want to move on to the next one. The next one works on the same scale. Also 25, you could have scored 25 on either side. And the word there, you could have been on the one side what's called a S, which stands for sensing, or you could have been an N, which stands for intuition. Your scores is also quite pronounced being an intuitive person. Now, if we go back to what question this answers, this specific scale answers the questions: how do you acquire knowledge? How do you develop insight? How do you understand things? Sensing people understand things on a very pragmatic, very realistic, very observable manner. In other words, if we take the word sense, for instance, we've got primarily five physical senses: eyes to see, nose to smell, mouth to taste, ears to hear, skin to touch. Sensor people like to stay on that level where things are workable, practical, understandable through what they see, hear, taste, touch, and feel.
Fact-finding.
Fact-finding is a good one. And also being more detailed orientated. They can work better with detail. Your type as an intuitive is a bit more broad thinking, holistically thinking. You would typically rather prefer to see patterns that connect than get stuck down in detail. I would take a guess, mundane stuff to do would kill you, to pay the bills, to make the appointments, and to do stuff that is not intellectually stimulating. I would guess is sometimes challenging for you.
I don't like routine.
Okay.
I don't like doing the same thing the same way just because I know how.
Yeah.
In that sense, it can seem like being lazy, but it's not. It's about simplifying as well, again, finding efficient ways of doing it, if you have to do it that way.
Yes.
In terms of making decisions, I would totally go on what feels right. How does it feel? And that's served me well in the past.
Yeah.
It's also a faith thing. Because you have to make a lot of decisions not just based on what you see. You have to make a lot of decisions based not on what you see. It has to feel. And it's often you have to do things that don't seem to be a good thing, the best thing, based on that side. But that's
Yeah, you don't necessarily, your first approach would not be to trust your senses, but to trust your gut level, your intuitive level. You being a Christian, you're a Christian? If you were to understand that we consist of body, soul, and spirit, I don't know if you have that framework to think of that, what we consist of. We consist of body, the house in which you live, and then you have a soul, that's your ability to think, to experience emotion, and then to do things. And then you've got the spirit within you, which also have three functions. The one is conscience, gewete, to discern between right and wrong. The other one is to fellowship and commune, to connect with people. And the third one is intuition, to know things without necessarily come to that knowledge through what you saw or heard, or even what your brain processed. You would strongly, according to your score here on your personality, trust and develop trust even more as you grow older. Trust your intuition. Trust faith. Maybe you call it faith. Maybe you call it just a sense of knowing, and you can't even explain yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is fed a lot by finding connections between things and seeing
Seeing patterns that connect. Okay. They say intuitives can see the big picture very clearly, and in an instant like this. They can't necessarily explain how they came to knowing that. There's even maybe in your context, I don't know what type of Christian you are, but you have most probably have an affinity towards the prophetic, to things that lie on the level where you see things that are not physically visible, impressions, visions. Could that be true?
Something that I think of often.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened on Wednesday night. We went to visit my in-laws. They stayed down the street. We went for dinner. No, Thursday night. And when we came there, it was the start of the State of the Nation, and they were watching it, and they were complaining. And they love sometimes getting down into the hole of complaining. They were sitting there, all of them. And they talk about the things that are happening at UCT, and there was a student with a shirt on that was very offensive, and they wanted to go into that hole even deeper. And I told them, this will not happen now.
Yes.
I did not come to eat with you to talk about this. And at the end of the night, we were watching TED Talks, psyching everybody up.
Yes.
In terms of that,
Yes.
I know things look bad. I know it, and I see it. I also see it. But I also know that God is still in charge. And that drives a lot of what motivates me and helps me make decisions.
Yes.
I know the senses. My senses of my eyes work, and my ears and my skin, everything works perfectly well. But that's not all there is.
You take that one step further, deeper maybe. Intuitive people can abstract quite well. They love theory. They like not to get bogged down by too much practical detail. If your wife wants to get something done, maybe she must get a handyman. Maybe you might not fit that picture perfectly.
It's not that I don't want to, I can't. I don't know how.
Yes.
When it's practical things.
Yes.
In terms of my job, I need to focus on detail.
Yes.
But I have an ability to zoom in because I understand. I work with data.
Yes.
So I need to know that what I'm working with is accurate and correct because it's important.
Yes.
But then I have the ability also to zoom out to understand where does this fit into what we are trying to achieve. And that is something that I try to teach people. But this gives me a good understanding of why it doesn't always work, because a lot of people on that side, they're just stuck in, I need to do this. This is my thing that I need to do. But they don't see where it fits into the bigger process.
Yes.
And it's important in terms of what we do to understand where it fits in.
Yeah.
Where are we going? We can't just walk around looking there all the time.
What's interesting, if I can quickly just, I'll show you a little bit later, one of the labels that they use for this personality type, which is yours, is visionary. It's sort of briefly just what you mentioned here, seeing where we should be going, seeing the bigger picture. There was a thought that I wanted to share with you, but it escaped me now. It might return. It usually does. It's about something that you've mentioned. Oh yeah. You're a psychologist. You understand inductive thinking and deductive thinking. Inductive thinking is moving from the whole to the detail, and deductive thinking is moving from the detail to the whole. In your description, it sounded to me that we tend to have a preference for either strongly inductive thinking, especially if we are very concerned about detail, we go into the detail. And some people have a strong preference to take things and just to see how it connects in the bigger picture. What you've described sounds quite good, that you might have the ability to be equally good with both ways of thinking. Does it make sense what I'm saying? So it's going from the whole to the detail and going from the detail out to the whole again. What role does it play for you, let's say as a teaching/training role, that you constantly have to think about these things in this way so that you can transfer the knowledge or share it with some other people, if at all?
I always think about two things when I need to explain something. I need to show them how to do it, which is detail. but they need to understand why
Okay.
we do it.
Purpose.
Yeah, we need to understand where it fits in.
Mhm.
Why are we doing this? Because we need to do it correctly. That
Yeah.
is goes without saying. And a lot of people who struggle in the job that we do have a problem with seeing why we do it.
Okay.
They just go, this is the way it's done, like a papagai, and we papagai all the time.
Mhm.
And we don't understand why we're busy with what we're doing.
Yes.
We don't know where we go, where does it fit in,
Yeah.
how it can be improved.
Yes.
I just know one way of doing it, and that's what I stick
Uh-huh.
to. So it's doing without thinking.
Yes.
But the practicality there is also equally important, knowing of how,
Uh-huh.
but understanding why also.
Do you find yourself translating the actual what people are doing for them in the bigger picture of the purpose, the why?
Yes, that is what a lot of what I do.
Is it?
In terms of my job, and if we were working on projects, this is what we need to get to. This is what they need to know, the clients need to know in order to improve what they do.
Mm.
But also in terms of working with the people, like I said, the young people, many of them are in their first job now. So they would have, their entire lives up to now have been planned for them.
Yes.
So they went to school, and they knew my next class is going to be there. My next test is going to be then. Then next year I'm going to university, for instance.
Yes.
I get a schedule of what I need to do. And then, so that is what I need to do.
Mhm.
And once they start working, now they don't know what they have to do in terms of practical day-to-day. They don't
Yes.
know, so they want somebody to tell them. But on a much deeper level, they don't know what they're aiming towards.
Mhm.
Because they don't know why am I here. They don't know. They don't know what fires them up. They don't know the reason for their existence.
Yeah.
They just knew my reason for existence up to now was passing this test,
Mhm.
or getting this degree because my dad said so, or getting a
Yes.
job at that company because that is the logical next step.
Yes.
But understanding why. So that is the practical stuff. This is what we do. But why do we do it?
Yeah.
And I talk to people a lot about why are you doing this?
Mm.
Why? What makes you happy? What
Mm.
excites you? What fires you up?
Yes.
What intrigues you? What is interesting?
It sounds like you doing that fires you up too.
Yeah, I love it.
Is it?
All over. And it's a thing that takes long,
Uh-huh.
because it's taken long for me to get there, to understand what I like,
Yes.
what fires me up, and what energizes me. But helping people to get there, it's fantastic.
Mm.
That is the reason for me being on this earth,
Okay.
without a doubt.
So that's your purpose. Yeah. It ties beautifully in with this personality type of yours. It's like it's aligned. Purpose is aligned with the potential. If I think about a person's identity, like your identity, two things always comes to mind, maybe three. The one is purpose, understanding your why, and the second one is the potential, understanding what you have to help you, fulfilling the why. And maybe the third one could be the passion that drives you in that process. And when I listen to you, I hear a person that has thought deeply about this, about the why. And obviously, where you are currently in your life, it sounds to me like you've also given expression on that, on that why.
And the cool thing is that the company I work for is also the boss, and the people around, the senior management, are also very much focused on why.
Mm. That helps, such an environment.
Yeah. So there's a very large match between me and the company, and
Yeah.
being able